Welcome to 3 Yards Per Carry, a podcast covering the Miami Dolphins and the NFL. Now, here's your hosts, Chris, Alf, and Simon.
And we're on, and welcome to 3 Yards Per Carry. I'm Alfredo Arteaga. Simon Clancy is here. Chris Kaufman is here. The whole band is back together. And as always, we are brought to you by Manscaped. Use promo code 5RSN. You get 20% off your entire order and free shipping. Go to betteredge.com/5 reasons. You get $25 just for signing up. And as always, we're brought to you by Prize Picks. Use the promo code 5, F-I-V-E. You deposit $100, you get a $100 bonus immediately. And it's a one-time rollover, which means you bet it through once, you get it. So they're giving you $100. Take it. Promo code F-I-V-E. All right, guys. I guess some housekeeping to keep right here, or to complete. Bradley Chubb, 5 years, $119 million, $63.5 million guaranteed. I guess we'll start at the top. Simon, your reaction to the trades, and both of them, and this signing.
We'll start with Jeff Wilson. I think he's a really good player. I think he's an excellent signing for the Dolphins. I've always liked him in San Francisco. He's a good special teams player as well. Just think he's, immersed in the fabric of Mike McDaniel, and that's absolutely important. And it was, I don't think Chase Edmonds was a bad player at all. And you go back and look at his work in Arizona. I just thought, just schematically, it just wasn't quite the right fit. But you bring in a guy who's absolutely hand in glove in terms of what the coach wants to do. Great team player, and that goes for Bradley Chubb as well. Great team guy, great leader. And I don't have a problem with the trade at all. I think the trade's excellent because I think the 49ers are going to probably go deep in the playoffs. They've got a really good team, good defense. Offense can be a little bit fluctuating with Jimmy, but they've still got the talent to pretty much beat anybody in the NFC. It's Philadelphia and the rest. So, they could easily get back to the NFC Championship game. So we would be picking 28, 29, 30, something like that. So giving up that for Bradley Chubb, I don't have a problem with. My one concern, two concerns really. The injuries, obviously, he's missed 24 games. I know a big chunk of that came with the ACL. But, if you're going to go and win in Kansas City in January, if you're going to go win in Buffalo in January in the playoffs, you need to get home with 4. You can't rely on cover 0 all the time, as effective as it's been. But we've seen coaches certainly this season try and successfully evade it by bringing late motions, etc., which kind of causes a bit of pause. Baltimore did it perfectly early in the season. Buffalo did it pretty well as well with bringing Dawson Knox in motion, and that had an effect as well. So there are ways and means outside of it, and obviously you can't play it when you haven't got Byron Jones, or you can't play it as effectively when you don't have 2 stud corners. So it's much more difficult to play it when you've got an undrafted free agent from Texas A&M Commerce playing outside. That's more difficult, as well as Code, who has played. So that's my one concern, is the injuries, and the second is obviously the extension money, and that I suppose ties directly into the injuries. But then I always make the point that it's not my cash anyway, so I don't really care. But essentially it's a 3-year deal for 62 million guaranteed. So and I think we all think that there's going to be a number of highly paid guys who will be gone at the end of the season anyway. Byron Jones, Mike Gesicki probably won't re-sign. Teddy Bridgewater will probably go. You could look at Emmanuel Ogbah, potentially somebody else that might go. Will Melvin Ingram be here? Trey Flowers, etc. So I think that, there's clearly a window for this team that's opening up, pretty wide now. You've just got to see it on the field now. Getting home with 4 to allow us to play coverage, and having the ability to go on the road and win in big environments in January to try and get us to the promised land that we all want to go to.
Yeah, I completely agree. I love what Chris Greer has done as far as roster building. Like he's rolling aces, he's rolling 7s and 11s all off season. Every move has essentially worked out, and even the ones that didn't. The Chase Edmonds signing, he reversed it, and he reversed it in season, got out of the money, and then replaced them with, like you said, like hand in glove. Jeff Wilson is perfect. I was watching some Jeff Wilson tape, and I'll get Chris in here on this. I think we've solved our issue with our short yardage back. He finds creases. First of all, he's bigger, although he doesn't run with as much power as Mostert. Although that's obvious. That's odd to say because Jeff Wilson is about 200 and 213 pounds, 215 pounds, and Mostert's about 200. But he finds creases, he finds yards. I think he's going to be, and first of all, he catches the ball, and that's most important after what we experienced with Chase Edmonds. So, yeah, that was a great move. Like, everything they're doing so far is either working out or looking up. Your thoughts, Chris, this contract and essentially the philosophy going forward?
The contract, I don't really have much to say on it. I think people get too caught up in them because, they pretend it's their money. As Simon said, it's not our money. So, as long as you're able to find, or as long as you're able to work the salary cap the way that you need to, work the accounting rules the way that you need to, whatever, what do we care? There's this instinct that a lot of fans have where they will, say, oh, no, this guy's not worth it. Oh, no, don't sign him. That's not worth it. And I think they don't. It's weird because when you do actually sign him, the overwhelming result is positive. It's like, oh, we got this guy, we got this guy. So, and this is one of those cases where if the trade deadline went by and Dolphins didn't get Bradley Chubb, then, everybody, he wasn't worth it. Or, I say this with Mike Gesicki is too. You would rather have Mike Gesicki than not have Mike Gesicki, right?
Yeah.
But then when everybody's but the money and so, but well, it's not our money, and so I think that it's an interesting thing. What I look at with the Jeff Wilson thing, first off, I don't think he's actually 215 pounds, and I don't think of him as like a power player. The guy came into the league like 190 pounds when he was coming out of North Texas, and so I think that that sort of weight gain. Maybe on a really good day, I don't know, but I don't know that if he just went to Fat Boy's barbecue the night before or something like that, I don't know, but yeah, so
like a 215-pounder though, doesn't he? He's got that kind of physicality about him, the shoulder.
He does. He's got a physicality. I won't deny that, but I think that he came in the league 190 pounds or so. I mean, and I just don't. You just don't necessarily see that sort of weight gain happen as a pro. And but you do see it happen on listings sometimes. But anyway, I don't think of him as necessarily that kind of player. But I will say this: I think that interestingly, this trade probably only happens because the Bradley Chubb trade happened. And I say that because Kyle Shanahan he was effusive in his praise of Jeff Wilson just a little bit ago, and was like, listen, we want him here forever. We love this guy. He's talked about exactly why, all the reasons that Mike McDaniel has talked about loving him. I mean, these guys, they're simpatico, so Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel are going to think about these players a lot of the same way. And I think ultimately the reason that he let Kyle Wilson go, we just went Kyle Wilson, Zach Wilson, and Jeff Wilson. That's crazy. But the reason he ultimately let him go, I think, is because this is a good situation for him. He was only on a 1-year deal with San Francisco, like a 1 year, just a little over $1 million. So he was either going to sit in San Francisco and play behind Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell, as RB3, and that's not going to get very many touches, not going to get very many opportunities to try and get that next contract, or he goes to Miami where Kyle Shanahan knows that he's playing in a system that he's played in before and has the maximum chance of success in, and B, he's replacing Chase Edmonds, who just got shipped off to Denver. And so now he is, I don't even know if we want to call it an RB2, because we know that Mostert has to be on a pitch count. And Kyle Shanahan, of all people, knows very well that Mostert doesn't have a great history of staying healthy. So it's almost like a humane rehoming of Jeff Wilson to a team where he's going to be, the 2-punch and the 1-2 punch when Mostert is healthy. And then, sometimes Mostert's not going to be healthy too. So, and Jeff Wilson is going to be the guy. And so I think that this was he was looking out for Jeff when he sent him here. And I'm not sure that would have happened the same way if Chase Edmonds were still here. So I think that it's an interesting set of dominoes that fell, kind of starting when Trey Lance got injured, or starting when they reached a deal to keep Jimmy Garoppolo as a backup to Trey Lance, and then Trey Lance gets hurt, and now their outlook looks better as a team. I truly believe that, the San Francisco 49ers, and then trading for Christian McCaffrey just set off a number of other things, which I think includes the Bradley Chubb trade to begin with, because it became apparent that the 49ers are going to have a very late first round pick. And that probably solidified Miami's stance that we're going to flip that pick off for a player instead of keeping it. And then once they completed that Denver trade, now also the Jeff Wilson trade starts to make sense from Kyle Shanahan's standpoint, because it is a good home for Jeff Wilson. It is the best chance, that an even better chance of succeeding than he had in San Francisco. So I think that's that whole aspect of it, sort of the humane aspect of all of this, putting Chase Edmonds in a place where he has a better chance of succeeding as well, systematically, as well as what Denver thinks of him. That's sort of the untold side of all of these trades, and it speaks well for all of the coaches involved, because to them this isn't just meat market, with making cold decisions and stuff like that. I think they really are trying to treat their players as people, and do the best for them.
I think it also speaks to the power of the coach, though, doesn't it? I mean, the background to the relationship between Wilson and McDaniel. McDaniel flew down to work him out privately on his own at North Texas at the pro day on a vacation day, because he just loved his tape, was really close to him. And then, McDaniel then talks about Bradley Chubb and how excited he was seeing his work out at NC State, and how he loved him from the time where Denver and the 49ers had joint practices. So I don't think it's a surprise, or I don't think it's a secret that Mike McDaniel will have been knocking on the door and saying, look, if there's the opportunity to get these are guys that I really like and the fit what I do. And I think Chris Greer has gone out and, specifically done that. And I think it works to the symbiosis between the two of them, that's what we're getting. And of course we're getting, like I said, great human beings. You're just reading this quote from John Lynch. He said, Jeff was really excited when he found out he was going to Miami. He felt like the Dolphins was a great spot because he knows Mike and the crew down there. And he said, and then the emotions hit him. And I was able to share that with him. And I said to him, look, you're not only one of my favorite players I've ever had the opportunity to be around, you're one of my favorite people. And I think that speaks a lot. And I don't think there is a sense that John Lynch just says that just because the guy's going out the door. We've talked about it often enough on this podcast that there are, the NFL sport generally is full of bad people. And I think good people should be celebrated. And I think these are two good players and two good people.
Absolutely. And by the way, the 49ers released Tevin Coleman, and then they re-signed him to the practice squad. If Mike McDaniel wants to recreate the 2019-2020 49ers backfield.
The 49ers backfield.
Yeah. So, go get Tevin Coleman, and you recreated the entire backfield from 2019-2020. All you would need is Matt Breida. I don't know where the hell he is. Where is Matt Breida?
He's definitely playing. I saw him play the other day, getting carries.
Yeah, because if you get Matt Breida too, then you got all four of them.
He's at the Giants. Yeah, I saw him play in London.
Okay. But Tevin Coleman is out there if he really wants to get crazy with this. Bradley Chubb, I heard it mentioned a lot, especially on OnlyFans. That's $3 a month, by the way. And $3 a month.
By the way, if you were on OnlyFans, you knew the Dolphins were interested in Bradley Chubb like pretty far in advance. Like a good, yes. Well, I mean, in this minute by minute world, you knew what, like 4 or 5 days beforehand.
$3 a day, Alf, did you say?
No, $3 a month. You also knew, by the way, almost within $5 million, the entire deal that he was being offered and what was on the table.
What can you buy with $3 a month in the United States? I mean,
nothing. You could get arrested with $3 a month. Like, I guess
halfway to buying a Twitter Blue thing, isn't it?
I
feel like you could get arrested here for only having $3 in your pocket.
But like,
that
here's
works
that's a
too.
great way to stop yourself getting arrested. Then spend it on OnlyFans.
It really is, if you think about it.
Like we've got 10,000 listeners to pretty much each episode of this show, and 1,000 and a few hundred OnlyFinners. I mean, I'm going all Rich Eisen here, but I'm just putting the message out to the
9,000 that are not.
500 people who are sat in utero thinking, what am I missing out on?
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's just say that. Yeah. 10,000 OnlyFinners would be pretty good. Okay. I'd enjoy that very, very much.
But for $3 a week, is that what he said? $3 a week?
No, $3 a month. It's $3 a month.
That.
Yeah. Unbelievable. True. Yes.
For like a community of people all talking sort of with. No, that can't be right.
No, but it is.
Wow.
But yeah, Mike Florio was wondering what's the red flag. But you know, Mike Florio is want to do that, and some of our OnlyFinners have wondered, you know, what's the red flag? Well, why would you get rid of a guy like Bradley Chubb if you're the Denver Broncos? Well, first of all, they paid Russell Wilson. Second of all, they drafted Nick Bonito and Baron Browning. Both are massive hits. Like that's what you want to do in the draft. You want to hit big on guys like that, and they did. And they also paid Randy Gregory, who I think is not very good, and is also kind of a shit human being too. So,
yeah, I think Baron Browning might become the next dominant pass rusher in the NFL.
Actually. Yeah, he's like Junior Von Miller, really, if you look at him.
And they've moved him position wise, and I just think he's an absolute threat outside.
Yeah,
I just think, yeah, you just watch his tape and you're like, wow, this guy. And I fucking loved Nick Bonito coming out of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So
he's legit too. He's legit too.
Yeah, completely understand why they did the deal, because you know they get a first rounder, another first rounder, and they don't have to pay the whatever it is, 112 million that the Dolphins paid. So
well, and also, you know, keep in mind that people are like, oh, are the Dolphins, were they bidding against who and the stuff? I don't think the Dolphins were bidding against any other team out there. They were bidding against the Denver Broncos, essentially. The Denver Broncos could have said, you know, okay, no, we're going to keep him and we're going to, you know, maybe franchise him next year or something and try and work out this deal, try and work out a deal with him. Because he is a good human and he is a really good pass rusher and a really good overall player. He's 275 pounds, you know, he's good against the run. I think that that's who we're bidding. We had to appeal to them with a price tag, because otherwise they were going to keep him and try and make this work. And this is, I think that a lot of fans kind of, oh, well, it's a foregone conclusion. He's gone. And then it's like, oh, the Dolphins were just bidding against themselves. They could have lowballed the Broncos. And it's like, no, they couldn't, because the Denver Broncos needed to be convinced that this was the right thing to do for them from the salary cap standpoint, from the standpoint of team building and everything like that. And this Russell Wilson trade is a big deal. They lost assets in getting him. He's not performing that well. He is taking up a lot of, salary cap space. And so they are, they're forced to make good on when they hit on guys like Baron Browning and Benito. They have to make good on that because of the Russell Wilson trade. They have to capitalize on that. And this is what they did. They capitalized.
Yeah, and both are playing on Sunday, as Mike McDaniel famously said yesterday in his availability when he was asked if Jeff Wilson and Bradley Chubb will play on Sunday. He says, "Well, we didn't trade a first-round pick and work out a long-term deal to have them cheer us on from the sideline." So
didn't he say something like, "I'm thinking about playing Jeff Wilson on offense and Bradley Chubb on defense"?
Yeah, he said that. He said that was what he had in mind as of right now.
I love that guy. That's such a dick thing to say, but I love it.
Yeah, but he had to clarify that, because did you know that Bradley Chubb was a spectacular running back in high school?
I did not.
So there's your short yardage back as well, Chris.
There you go.
A backfield of him and Christian Wilkins, like, we got to do that. That has to happen.
He's a big boy as well. I mean, he's 278.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's gonna have that C on his chest. He's been a 3-time captain, So I don't know. They'll take the C off of his chest. They'll put it on. He'll be a captain. So add another captain to the Dolphins defense. All right, we're gonna go to break, and when we come back, we will talk Dolphins, Chicago Bears. Notice I didn't say Chicago. It's Chicago Bears. First, these words. Do you have a water leak and can't find where it's coming from? Are you dealing with water or mold damage in your home or business? Then call Water Cleanup of Florida at 954-579-0356 for immediate assistance. With over 60 years of combined experience, Michael, Robert, and their team is prepared to handle all types of leak detection issues, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. After the leak has been located and repaired, Water Cleanup of Florida will then clean, dry, and fully restore the damaged areas. Water Cleanup of Florida is fully licensed, insured, and certified to provide the one-stop shopping that busy homeowners and business owners require. There is no need to bring in other contractors. They will handle the entire project from start to finish. Service areas include Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach counties. Call Michael anytime on his personal cell phone at 954-579-0356. That's 954-579-0356, or visit their website at wcufl.com. Water Cleanup of Florida. If you have the schmutz, they have the guts. All right, and we're back. All right, we got to talk about this game. Kind of important. Simon, have you perused the weather for Sunday?
I mean, no.
Okay. Earlier in the week, everybody was speculating.
I have a life, Alf.
Yeah. So you're not checking the weather for Dolphin games on a Sunday at 1 p.m. Like a Monday? Because that's my existence. That's what I like to do. That's my favorite thing I do on Mondays. I check the weather, the long-term forecast for Dolphin games the following Sunday. That's what I always do.
You're also quite obsessive, I've noticed, about the grass.
Yeah, I know, right? Like that's a thing I've done this year. I don't know why I'm doing that.
I've walked on the field at Soldier Field, and it is awful.
Well, it's different now.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
When did they change it?
They changed it before week 1 this year, and then of course, actually no, after week 1 when they played the 49ers and they got completely tore up.
Because I changed it.
Yeah, it used to be Kentucky. It used to be Kentucky bluegrass, which is deep and slow and a slog. And they changed it to Bermuda grass, which is what is at Hard Rock Stadium. It's
no word of a lie. Yeah, I've played on better semi-professional soccer pitches in the UK than Soldier Field. It was really up and down, bobbly. Grass was thick. I was really surprised when I walked on. I was like, "How the fuck is this an NFL field?" It was really weird. And like, walked on quite a few, and it was really poor. I mean, this was the first game of the 29th, so the 100th anniversary season. And the Packers beat the Bears, but it was shoddy as shit.
Yeah.
Well, thank God they changed it then.
The
last thing we need is our just I don't want to we're gonna have our quarterback sprain an ankle or something on some shoddy, lumpy field.
Yeah, but they changed it, so it should be better. We shall see if it's better. But it's going to be a lot of fun. They're going to debut two new toys. Bradley Chubb should play, I guess, as that buck linebacker. And Jeff Wilson should get some carries. But this Bears team, they were sellers, but then they became buyers. Simon, I don't know if you watched the Bears play this year, but...
Yeah, I've seen them quite a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think I've seen them play 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, they look great against the Patriots. They absolutely smashed the New England Patriots in New England, which I was really, really surprised. Because I remember when that game was kicking off, I was thinking to myself, oh, great. The Patriots are now going to put together like a 5-game winning streak, and they're going to be a pain in the ass for the rest of the season. And then the Bears just absolutely smoked them. They've been sellers. They sold Robert Quinn off to the Eagles. And then Roquan Smith is now a Raven. So it looks like they're complete sellers on the defensive side of the ball. But then they add Chase Claypool, and we're going to get to play him twice inside of 3 weeks. That offense runs the ball. Khalil Herbert is a favorite of this show at one time. He's been absolutely fabulous. David Montgomery is a good running back. They run it a lot. And Justin Fields. Yeah, and Justin Fields is kind of developing.
Come
I don't know.
on.
What are your thoughts on that team in general? Mostly the offense.
Yeah, I think they've got some bits, some pieces on offense. I mean, uh, it's really interesting watching Justin Fields up until the Patriots game because it felt like Luke Getsy had no idea what to do with Fields. His yards per game, or in terms of the amount of I think he'd thrown 112 passes before the Patriots game, which was the lowest number through the first, whatever it was, 5 or 6 weeks of the season since the 1982 Patriots, which seemed astonishing given what we saw of him at Ohio State. And I think in some ways you have to level the same argument at Fields that you were with Tua in the early years, the first couple of years with the lack of talent around him. I do think the run game is strong. Khalil Herbert's an excellent change of pace to Montgomery, who I always liked at Iowa State. What I find interesting about the receiving core is that, you know, they're kind of bitty, I suppose, but we kind of know them. We know Claypool, we know N'Keal Harry because we played against in the Patriots. Darnell Mooney, I think, is a decent player. He's a little bit underrated. Dante Pettis was a guy that McDaniel was with in San Francisco when they drafted him. You know, Equanimeous St. Brown is a big guy, big sort of can body up, post up. Velus Jones is to me, an astonishing decision by Ryan Poles to draft him where he did, because I didn't think he was very good at USC. I didn't think he was very good at Tennessee. And then he went to the Senior Bowl and played like Edward Scissorhands. So, but you've got, you know, a big tie-in in Cole Kmet. It's just defensively, I think that, you know, especially now with the departures of Quinn and the big linebacker whose name is just completely falling out of my head. But I think, yeah, you look at that front seven and you're just like, you know, the linebacking core is AJ Klein, Nick Morrow, Jack Sanborn, Joe Thomas, and Sterling Weatherford. I mean, they're, you know, it's just a bunch of guys, you know. I mean, in the secondary, I think, you know, Jaquan Brisker is the best defensive player already. I think he started the season really well. I think Kyler Gordon's had his ups and downs, but started to come into it a little bit. Eddie Jackson is still there, but he's not close to the player that he was 2 or 3 years ago. You know,
I think Travis Gibson is pretty good.
Yeah, Gibson's pretty good. But you know, the rest of those guys up front, you just, you know, Justin Jones is there's some decent players, but there's not, you know, I don't think there's anybody that you necessarily need to be worried about, and especially when you're breaking in Robert Jones at left guard. I just think the Dolphins should be able to move the ball up and down the field depending on Alf's weather, because I just don't see defensively,
which I'm about to reveal right now.
Yeah.
Okay. On Monday.
But the other thing is as well, they're starting a rookie, albeit a rookie I really liked. I thought he played really well, both at Southern Utah and at the Senior Bowl when I saw him up close. That's Braxton Jones, but they're playing Braxton Jones at left tackle. I'm not sold that Braxton Jones will have seen a Bradley Chubb, a Melvin Ingram, a Jalen Phillips and Emmanuel Burr, Javon Holland, in terms of just guys coming at him from all angles. So, you know, I think they're going to be able to get home. The interesting thing, like I said, is Luke Getsy has now just worked out how to get the best from Justin Fields in terms of using his mobility, the designed running plays for him, which has seemed to have worked, but throwing the ball down the field seems like an absolute roller coaster still. So, you know, I think we'll have to key in on Fields, you know, calling his own number and picking up yards with his feet, which is what he did so effectively against New England.
Absolutely. On Monday, the weather reports were dire. Bleak, I think is the right word. It was 50 degrees, 67% chance of precipitation, and 25-mile-per-hour winds. Okay, that looks awful. Okay, that looks like an awful day at 1 p.m. on a Sunday at Soldier Field.
Run the ball then.
Yeah, you know? Well, now it's Thursday, right? So it's 4 days later. So it's a new forecast. And now the forecast is 65 degrees, 0% chance of rain, no wind, or up to 15 miles per hour at most, and sunny, no clouds. So basically it's Miami. We're transporting Miami.
Well, Miami, but without the heat. And depending on whether you're listening to Bills fans and such, we can't win without it. So,
yeah, I think if we're at that podium in Phoenix and they're giving us the Lombardi, I think the sun, hopefully it doesn't come down to accept the Lombardi, but we're gonna have to mention the sun.
It at least gets its own Super Bowl ring, right?
Yeah, we gotta get a Super Bowl ring for the Sun, because this is a spectacular performance by the Hard Rock Sun. It is transporting itself to Soldier Field and essentially recreating Miami weather like in December, but in early November, give or take 10 degrees, but 65 degrees, sunny, no clouds, no wind, no rain. Like, come on, you can't ask for a better day. You could do whatever you want on offense. Playbook's open. Your thoughts, Chris, on this matchup? I'll give mine very briefly before you get to go. Justin Fields is different. They call some design runs for him now. He creates things with his feet now. Off schedule, he can be dangerous. It is not a walkover. This is not a walk in the park or a cakewalk. This is not going to be easy. I think they're competent enough on offense where they pose a threat. Your thoughts on this matchup, Chris?
Well, yeah, I was just going to highlight that if you think about the fact that the Dolphins struggled quite a bit against Lamar Jackson, and needed some heroics, the likes of which we have not seen in a while, on offense in order to overcome that. It makes me nervous. It makes me nervous about whether this year is going to be a year where we have a little bit of trouble with quarterback designed runs, which we did against the Baltimore Ravens, and whether we have trouble with overall mobility at the quarterback position. Definitely concerning on that. The other thing that I would find concerning on the other side of the ball is, I know that I realize that Eddie Jackson is maybe not the player that he once was, but have a lot of respect for Eddie Jackson as well. And we just got done 2 weeks ago with a game where Minkah Fitzpatrick really gave to a lot of nightmares because of the game that he's able to play in the middle of the field, where Miami has been making more hay in the middle of the field, deep middle of the field, passing wise, than any other quarterback, any other team in the NFL, and by a good margin, and so I think that those two factors really kind of give me a little bit of pause and say, this is not, you can't just ink a victory here. You have to go out and actually play the game. And it makes me wonder because, frankly, the Detroit game defensively was terrible. And we talked about this on last pod, just because they shut them out in the second half. I mean, that second half amounted to 3 drives. And one of those drives, the Lions actually got going on the drive, but the scoreboard pressure played a part in the fact that that drive ended on downs, on a failed fourth down. So I don't know that we're going to have to see if they have this fixed defensively. We can't just assume it. Go ahead.
Sorry, mate. I was just thinking on offense, though, having watched the last 2 games, Patriots and Dallas, Fields was significantly better.
Yeah.
In terms of just not only how he looked, but just it feels like he's been unleashed with the running ability, and the Lions playing one in front of him. And, I think I was just looking there. I think he's averaged almost 80 yards per game in the last 3 games, just running the ball. This is a guy that's 6'3", 228 pounds, going to be coming downhill at, some defenders. And I don't think, this is not going to be an easy game for the Dolphins in any way, shape or form. I think, they've got to be on from the start, because I think offensively they will be able to move the ball.
By the way, I got a little bit of breaking news. This was just, texted to me. Dolphins Bills later on in the season is earmarked as a possibility to be flexed, and also flexed for possibly Saturday night on the NFL Network triple header. So that's something interesting.
So they're gonna we've already got a 2-week stint of going West Coast, right? San Francisco,
and now they're gonna play us. They're gonna make us play in like sub 2-degree weather,
and then they're gonna put us at Buffalo for a 3rd road game in a row, and they're also gonna flex it to be an early to be a day.
It's on the prior list. Yes, it's on the list.
Well, that doesn't sound like a good deal.
No, it does not, does it? What I think is worse is that they're considering night games for both. So, which is kind of, it's sexy that, you might play the Bills on a Sunday night, but Jesus Christ, Buffalo in mid-December at night, that's not fun.
Can I just say that somebody on OnlyFins has just asked me a question and said, "Oh, what do you think about Rocket Man buying Washington?" I thought he meant Elton John, but it turns out it's Jeff Bezos. So I got that one pretty far wrong. That's the sort of in-depth sort of kind of stuff you're going to be getting on our own thing.
We should have a nice pluses and minuses debate on OnlyFans about Elton John buying the Commanders.
Yeah. I hear Rocket Man is buying the Commanders, and my mind goes right away. Okay, is it Elon Musk? Is it Jeff Bezos? Or is it Kim Jong-un?
It can't be anybody else. It's
Kim Jong-un.
That's what?
There have been many Rocket Men.
Yeah, many Rocket Men.
There's only one Rocket Man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's just quickly. What happens on Sunday, Simon? Give me a score.
Daniel Snyder. I think the Dolphins win 24-17.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'll say it a little bit different. I'll tack on a field goal. Jason Sanders is kind of on a little hot streak here as of late. So make it 27-17. They win by 10. All right, Chris.
I think y'all are crazy thinking that they only score 17 points because the road defense has allowed what is this per game? 33 points per game. You know,
is that bad?
Is that bad? We were talking about this before the Lions game, and then the Lions just put it on them. You know, like defensively. So prove it to me that the defenses can play on the road this way. But otherwise, this is going to have to be a 31-28 victory to me. That's what I'm looking at.
All right, that's it. The next time we talk to you will be on Monday. We'll have results. We'll talk about the game. But till then.
Thanks for listening to 3 Yards Per Carry. You can subscribe via iTunes, on Podbean, or your usual podcast provider.